Hello, creators, and welcome to Rediscovering Be Something Wonderful, where we revisit timeless classics from deep within our video archives. What if the reason you've been waiting for your specific person has nothing to do with them? What if the waiting itself is the only thing standing between you and the relationship you desire? In this video, you'll rediscover the remarkable story of a creator who made one profound shift. She stopped living as though fulfillment existed somewhere out there in the future and began living from the only place where reality ever changes, right here, right now. And the moment she stopped waiting, everything changed. Because your desired reality isn't waiting for time to pass. It's waiting for you to stop waiting. Now, let's rediscover the extraordinary simplicity of consciously creating the life of your wildest dreams. Welcome back to Be Something Wonderful. Creators, welcome back. Another big video. This is related to yesterday's video, which I'm going to leave a link because I'm going to review that briefly here, just to give you the context of an email that I got from a client who actually I'm going to speak with later today. This is a client I just spoke with about a week ago about her SP and the whole idea of receiving your reality within, right? That every time she looks out there, that reality can't change because she's looking at reality as reality. Well, and so in conjunction with that, she watched yesterday's video over and over again. This is what she said in the email, and then we're going to unpack it. Tom, thank you for that video today. I left the link in the description. Now I really get it. What you mean by reality is received within. My SP called me within hours of listening to it. That's that video that I posted yesterday. I watched it over and over again. He has never called me since we met. She's only received text messages from him, right? So yes, she goes, yes, nothing happens in the future. Nothing happened in the past. It's all now, lots of laughs. Because this is some of the stuff that we had talked about in our previous session about a week ago. And now we're going to talk later on today, I think early evening. And so I'll give you any updates that I have. But this is powerful here. Nothing is happening. Nothing will happen. So I want to, first of all, go back to her realization. She got this idea from that video yesterday that one client talks about, that we're really living vertically and having a horizontal experience in 3D reality. So I want to show this one more time. This big realization from yesterday's video, we've talked about, I realize we live in a vertical timeline, not a horizontal one, right? Do you see this idea that we think we live in this vertical timeline that flows like a river from the past to the present to the future, and that the now is somehow some small moment that we fit in between the past and future. That all of the times in the past, all of the times in the future, and we just have this small, tiny now moment. But really what's happening here, and there you are moving through time, what's happening is it's actually you're living vertically. That you are that being that has all realities within you. Do you see this? That the timeline is vertical, that now moment is the only time. Do you see it? That now moment is vertical. It's all now. All those future selves, all those past selves are all you right now. That's powerful. So we talked about that. And then remember from yesterday, I see now that all those events are happening simultaneously. It's happening vertically, not horizontally. That's the context of fulfillment. In 3D, it happens in step after step, right? As we go through the experience. Remember, here you are vertically, living vertically, but having that horizontal experience in linear time, going from now moment to now moment. And she just got it, excited about the event. So I want to go over this because this is the video that my client watched over and over again. We're going to talk about it tonight, presumably, and other things. But her SP, who has never called her, has only texted her, right? Called him, and now he wants to get back together. It was a long conversation. She said it was a great one, but we're going to know the details later. So let's hit this. She had been imagining in Furman that he would get in touch. Right? This is some of the stuff we talked about in our first session, wanting to get back together. But this time was different. Clearly was different. This is really what we're going to talk about tonight. This time was with the conviction that reality is received from within. That reality is all happening vertically while having the horizontal experience of it unfolding in linear time. Do you see the difference? She collapsed time here. She got to the conviction that it's all received within, as I've talked about in many videos now, right? And that whole idea that it's a linear, like that one client from yesterday's video, that it's a vertical, we're living vertically, but having that horizontal experience. That her big realization, I realize we live in a vertical timeline, not a horizontal one, right? And then that comes from that video yesterday. Oh my God, I'm hanging out in the vertical reality of wish fulfilled. The video was posted yesterday, May 2nd. So, but remember, I was pointing to this yesterday. That's the whole idea that Scripture was pointing to. In Him, we live and we move and we have our being, or we exist in Him. We exist in that being that we are part of, and part of the whole and the whole. Right? We're part of that, right? I and my Father are one, but my Father is greater than I. That being is greater than you, but you're one with it in the whole of you. See that in linear time. This is the idea of the cross, as some of you were talking about. And I think I talked about the meaning of the cross in a previous video. But this idea that we're having that linear experience, but we're living vertically. Do you see it? In Him, we live and we move and have our being. That's what that means, in Him. So, remember, reality is received within. Means nothing happens out there, that it's all a story in and of linear time. It's a story in linear time, and it's a story of linear time. These are some of the things that I had talked about in our first session. There's no out there. John Wheeler. Bashar says the universe is not out there. There's no out there. There's no out there. They're all saying it. The scientists, the spiritual teachers. Nothing happened in the past. It all happened, or it all happens. It's all happening now. Do you see it? It's only when you remember it. Only when you remember it. I hear this point that I'm making here. Nothing happened in the past. It all happens, or happened, or is happening now. And only when you remember it. Do you see it? Otherwise, it's just potential, right? Memory is a mental image. So only when you imagine it, only when you imagine the past, only when you think about it. That's your linear experience of holding on to those past events, but you're actually living vertically. And so you're lighting that up in the now moment, the only moment there is. Wow, that's powerful. So I remembered that's the whole idea that Chris Kelvin in the movie Solaris had that realization about his wife that died by suicide. I remembered her wrong, and somehow I was wrong about everything. As a story in linear time, it's less than 0.1% of reality. You're only remembering a story in linear time, that slice of reality that really is only right now. When you believe and assume you live and you move and you exist and have your being in linear time, in a horizontal time frame, that's when you're wrong about everything. When you believe that you live, exist, and have your being in the horizontal time frame and not the vertical time frame, not the vertical timeline, right? Wow, that's powerful, right? You're going to be wrong about everything. That's what he had the realization. Even Chris Kelvin having the realization that you're living vertically in the now moment. Not only the past, but nothing happens in the future either. Not only nothing happens in the past, it's just a story. Nothing happens in the future either. It all happens now, or is happening now. And only when you're imagining it. Just like the past, only when you're remembering it, because that's an imaginal act. And the future, only when you're imagining it. Remembering the future, in other words. Just like you can remember the past, you can remember any point in creation. Because you're a vertical, multidimensional, fully integrated, fully evolved being, right? This beingness of which you are made and which you live and exist is pure positive potential. And all of that potential is within you. Let's continue this. I'm feeling it and then I get triggered by something in 3D reality. This was another client that I had yesterday, and it ties in because even the client that I'm going to talk with later tonight talked about triggers in our first conversation. Remember that you're not feeling it and then getting triggered by something. You exist there. You're living in the horizontal or the linear time frame, or the linear timeline. You're living in that horizontal timeline. Do you see it? Holding on to that. You exist there. Just like in Star Trek, Deep Space Nine, the light says to Cisco. When Cisco, remember, in Deep Space Nine, you can watch the episode, I think it's the first one, where Cisco's remembering how his wife died in an attack on a ship that he had to abandon, that he was the commander, right? They were under attack by aliens, and so they had to abandon the ship. And the last picture was his wife dying, and he's been existing there. He's been carrying that image with him, right? He's been living and experiencing that horizontal timeline, not forgetting that he lives vertically, right? You don't bring a, and then as he was telling the light, right? These are the prophets. As he was telling the light about linear time, he kept going back to that scene on the ship with his wife dying. He's trying to tell them about linear time. Then he says to him, why do you bring me here? He says to the light, why do you bring me here? Because he keeps remembering that image of the past. And they say, we do not bring you here. You bring us here. You exist here. Wow. In other words, you bring your I am there. You bring your light there. Wow. When you remember it wrong, when you're remembering that when you're existing there in the horizontal timeline. Wow. And not the vertical timeline. And then Cisco says to the light, then give me the power to lead you somewhere else, anywhere else. Right? Remember, that's your I am. You have that power. You are the power. And then the light says to him, we cannot give you what you deny yourself. Look for solutions from within, Commander. The light says that to him. Do you hear this, guys? When you're feeling triggered, you're existing there. Right? You're bringing yourself there. Right? You're bringing your light there. You're lighting it up. You're recreating it in that moment. It does not exist. It only exists in potential, but if you exist there, right, then give me the power to lead me somewhere else, but you have that power, right? So you choose, and so the light finally says to him, as Cisco comes to the realization that there is no linear time, it's not linear, and that he has been existing there in that past. He never left the ship, right, in his mind. He's still on that ship with his wife dying, right? So you choose to exist there. It's not linear, the light says. After all that, Cisco's talking about linear time and the cool thing about how time is linear and all that to the light. Light doesn't understand what he's talking about, or only lives in the simultaneity of the present now moment. So you choose to exist here. It's not linear. So he's choosing to exist in that memory on the ship of his wife dying. Just like when you get triggered by these memories, you're choosing to exist there. Wow. And not in the simultaneity of that now moment. Not living vertically on a vertical, not living on a vertical timeline, instead on a horizontal timeline. That's your choice, right? No, it's not linear. Finally, Commander Cisco says, no, it's not linear. Great video. I think I'll post a link to that video. Remember, whether you're being triggered by remembering the past or wishing for fulfillment in the future, you are living horizontally in linear time, not experiencing life as it is vertically in the now moment. Hear this, because this really, really goes a little deeper today. Based on this session that I'm going to have with my client, this email of her epiphany, right? Her demonstration of her SP actually calling her who's never called her, right? Whether you're being triggered by remembering the past or wishing for fulfillment in the future, you're living horizontally in linear time. You're not experiencing life as it is vertically in the now moment, right? When you're trying to make something happen, when you're believing that in those stories of linear time, telling a new story of the assumption of your wish fulfilled is not about avoiding or trying to repress or suppress or change old stories. Hear this, you're not trying to change anything. Rather, it's knowing that all stories are you. All stories within you, all existences are you. All memories are you. All mental images are you. It's about integrating all of it as the vertical multidimensional you. This powerful diagram, which I've showed on the previous video. It's about integrating all of that. You have all existences within you, right? The question is, where do you choose to live, right? All of those, you exist in all of those. But where you live is up to you. Where are you going to live? Like Cisco, he's living on that ship still. Cisco, Commander Cisco in Deep Space Nine. Where are you going to choose to live? Because you exist, all of those exist within you. Telling the new story is about you choosing where to live. Just like my client maybe about a year ago that says, I don't live there anymore, right? Very powerful. So yes, you exist here, but you exist everywhere. In other words, yes, you exist where that memory is, that trigger is, but you exist in all memories, all existences, all realities, right? But you're believing in the horizontal nature of it, that it's still there, and that you're going to go back and stay there and solve it and resolve it and heal it, right? In time. So you exist everywhere, in all time, simultaneously, right? You don't live in some memories and experience and events and not in others. You live in all of them. Do you hear it? You live in all of them, but you want to pick and choose. I want to live only in the good ones. And the bad ones, I want to go away, but I'm being triggered by them. You live in all of them. It's about integrating all of it, right? All of who you are. But where you choose to live, in other words, your dwelling place that Neville Goddard talks about, that's talked about in Scripture, my father has many dwelling places or mansions, is up to you. You get to choose. Living horizontally in linear time, in certain stories or images or memories, like Cisco on Deep Space Nine, and like my client, who believed that her SP never calls her, that SP doesn't want to be with her. All of that, living in those certain stories or images or memories and not in others, keeps you existing in the context or the experience of non-fulfillment. Wow. Do you see it? If you're picking and choosing, some stories are real to me or they exist to me and some don't, then you're always in non-fulfillment. Unless you integrate it all, unless you remember your multidimensional self. Living vertically in the now moment, in the now, is living in the context of fulfillment, as that subscriber said yesterday. I am that I am. That's where all potential lives. There's no potential in linear time. There's no potential. There's no future in linear time. There's no past in linear time. There's nothing. It's a story. Right? Fulfillment happens here and now, or it doesn't. Fulfillment happens and exists, hear this, here and now, or it doesn't happen or exist at all. In other words, it's either here and now or not at all. And it doesn't live in horizontal, in that you living horizontally or living on a horizontal timeline is non-fulfillment. Because fulfillment doesn't exist there. It exists here and now, or it doesn't exist at all. And it exists. It's all there is. Wow. So either that version of you, that ideal, your assumption of who you want to be, that version of you where you do have the money, where you do have that love in your life, where you do have the enlightened experience of living vertically. Your SP, right? That version of your SP, your life, exists and is happening here and now, or it doesn't exist and it can't happen at all. Do you see it? It's either happening in here and now. Either that life exists and is happening here and now, or it doesn't exist and can't happen or doesn't happen at all. Wow. So, but we know it exists. We know there's only existence. I am is your conviction of that. So it is happening. Either that conviction or feeling of wish fulfilled exists and is happening here and now, or it doesn't exist and can't happen at all. Do you see it? So it makes no sense saying that you're not feeling the conviction. You can't find the conviction. I lost the conviction. It's either there or it isn't. And it is there. Because when you say I am, you're declaring it. When you say I am, you are invoking it. When you say I am, you are creating it. Living vertically is not about trying to make something happen out there, but to know out there is happening within you as you right now. Hear this. This is really what this client was talking about about her SP calling her within hours of living vertically. It's not about trying to make something happen out there, but to know out there is happening within you and as you right now. Wow. My specific person called me within hours of living vertically. I will leave a link to yesterday's video. I'll also leave a link to that Deep Space Nine video if you haven't seen it, so you can enjoy that as well. I am your host, Tom Kearin, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of higher consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Creators, thank you. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for liking and sharing and commenting on the videos. We have a Facebook group, the Be Something Wonderful Ambassadors, at facebook.com/groups/Be Something Wonderful. We have Instagram and Twitter at Tom Kearin. You can join our membership page, our membership channel, which has additional content, and we'll have a live stream, I think this month. We're looking at that this month for that live stream. And there's a link down below where you can join, or just go to our website anytime at tomkearin.com or besomethingwonderful.com for all that information and more. Creators, with great love, with great light and infinite gratitude, this is Tom Kearin with Be Something Wonderful. We'll see you soon.